Once I was a healthy, happy 29-year-old with 4 children. At the time, I did high-impact aerobics 3 times a week and was doing voluntary work. So as you can see, I was fit, busy, and overnight, a lodger turned up. I woke up one October morning to find I was in pain and had difficulty moving. I had a temperature at the time, so thought it may be flu. But 3 weeks later, I was still the same. So I went to see my GP. He did some blood tests, which I was told were normal. Another 3 weeks passed and I could hardly walk or move, and the pain was incredible. I returned to the GP, who informed me that the blood tests were not normal. I had a rare arthritis. I went back to the GP. This time the GP said that I could not possibly be in the pain I was saying. Not that it was in my head, but depression and stress would make things seem worse. This went on for many years. I could not see how it could be in my head, as it was different every day. I did not get up in the morning and think to myself, the pain would be in my leg today. It was more like my body had a mind of its own. After years of this going on through counselling and agreeing to take antidepressants, none of which worked, I felt that the medical profession thought I was a hypochondriac. One day I was travelling on a train when I had a chance meeting that changed everything. I got talking to a man and said I was going to a meeting about arthritis to see if it would help me. He asked what symptoms they were and I explained what I felt and how it affected me. He told me to look up fibromyalgia, which I did later that evening. They were all my symptoms staring back at me. My GP referred me back to a rheumatologist, so I took the paperwork that I downloaded. He said, yes, this is what you've got, there's no treatment, and I do not want to see you anymore. I was relieved to get a diagnosis, but this did not last long. I went to see the GP for some help with the pain, and he again insisted it was depression and stress. I had had enough at this point. So I started to look at alternative therapies, but found them to be very expensive. So it was at this point I decided to train in one instead. I picked Reiki and have not looked back. Later I thought it would be nice to have somewhere to go for support, so I thought about contacting a fibromyalgia group, but soon found that there was none around. So I have advertised to see if there were any local people that were interested in starting the group for self-help. I did not think there would be much of a response, as I had been told the illness was rare, but I was wrong. We started with 6 from this area alone. We met in my living room and then we went from there to having 30 members. Going back to my story, I have found ways of dealing with the fibromyalgia through treatments of Reiki and exercise which work well for me. I have lost faith in the medical profession, but some people have had beneficial help from the medical doctors. There are also those that refuse to admit that it exists because it is too complicated. They insist it is a made-up name to tell patients when they do not know what is wrong with them. I did at one point insist on being sent to a specialist in this condition and had to fight to get there. He asked me what my biggest problem is, and my reply was, his doctor's telling me it's in my head. He laughed and said, well, it is. He proceeded to show me pictures of people with fibromyalgia that had been placed in MMR's machines, and it showed that people were prodded in trigger areas and their brains would light up. The new research that is coming out supports the theory that this problem is neurological. So this is my story and my thoughts on fibromyalgia, the unwanted lodger and his companions that keep turning up to surprise me. Although they do not bring any welcome gifts, I have come to see it as a challenge over the years and I will not be beaten by it. I will keep myself healthy and mobile as possible for as long as I can. And while I am always being told that I am bloody minded and stubborn, it turns out to be a good thing, I think.